Hello, everybody. Back to cleaning guns again, and for this week, we're going to be cleaning a Glock 17. Let's start before we start talking about this pistol. Let's take it apart and verify that it is clear and safe. First thing we're going to do on the left side of the handgun, remove the magazine by pressing the magazine release. We can see that there is no ammunition in the magazine. However, this is not indicative that there is no ammunition in the gun. So we're going to pull the slide back, pushing up with our thumb on the slide catch. Now looking in there, I do not see or feel any casing or bullet, so I know that this is at least unloaded for right now, and it's clear and safe. And then we're going to discharge in a safe direction. Click. Okay, cool. So now we can begin by cleaning it. A little bit about this gun. I bought this when I first found out I was going to have a child. I was 21, and I didn't have a Glock yet. Well, I had a Glock. I had a Glock and 40 cal, the 23. Why a Glock and 40 cal? Listen, man, it was what was available, and I wanted a Glock, so I got it. But I purchased this specific Glock right at the time I found out I was gonna be a dad. It was an unplanned time. I was kind of nervous, and I don't know. I was on Gunbroker, and I saw this, and I liked the two-tone of the green and the, tan. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy it. So I bought it. This is it. Now I use it for competition. Originally was a carry gun just for a little bit. Very short time. And I feel like it's been neglected. About 500 rounds since its last time it was cleaned, so there shouldn't be much to clean, but we'll be cleaning it. So let's get right into it. Move back, pull on trigger, push forward, and now we have weapon, barrel, recoil spring, slide. Alright, as we look into the slide, we can see that there's a decent amount of, I call 9mm buildup. It's just the unburnt powder and various other items. Out there on the frame with the trigger mechanism, again a little messy, but not a lot of work to get that clean. So we'll set these aside. Work on the. Let's get the whole thing assembled now. So I'll start by on this little cap right here. We're gonna push down. And you're going to push down with that. Always keep your thumb here. On some models, the springs will jump. The 43, 43X, and the 48, I've had a lot of them jump. Now with this, to get this spring out, pull. That happens sometimes. And then you're going to push and remove this. You might need a deep detent. Set these aside. Further taking apart is going to be pulling this down. Hoping it doesn't do that exact thing that it just did. There's other ways to get around it. Alright. I know somebody who always pushes it all the way up and then turns it and then takes it apart. Yeah, I don't like that. Alright, take these caps out. Set those aside. Spring. Boom. Okay. Make sure this boy gets out. This one, sometimes, anything with spring pressure, if you need to get it out and it's, you can't grab it, push down, past, and let it jump up. Alright, and that's the upper slide stripped, except for the sights, which we're not going to take apart to clean. I'm going to set this aside, leave our small parts here, and then we're going to go to this part, this slide. Now on a Gen 5, there's only one pin. There's also only a one pin on, I think, Gen 1 and Gen 2. Don't quote me, though. This one, you got to find the sweet spot. Once you find the sweet spot by moving the actual slide, sometimes you need to put just a little bit of pressure forward. There you go. Push all the way through. And kind of note in your head which way you pulled it out. So I know this side is going to be the side I have to stick the pin in, because it all goes in one way. If you go both ways, you could risk just taking the whole thing and wearing it down a little bit. Alright, now pop this bad boy up. See if you can at least. It's always fun. Motherfucker. There we go. Alright, now we can remove this. And to remove the trigger mechanism, oh, we did this side out, so we just follow the same cadence here. Push all the way through. Almost let that fall. I keep my pins to the side and then take this. And you can pretty much just wiggle that. Wow, that's stuck in there, man. When the hell was the last time I cleaned this? Okay. Alright. We're not going to take the magazine release out. But if you were going to take the magazine release out, I don't know if I can really demonstrate that well. Look it up on YouTube. Essentially, there's a little spring that sits inside a rail, and you need to push it all the way over to its maximum position, and then get behind it and push it out. Then it'll sit on top, and you'll be able to push it. You'll be able to pull this all the way through. It is a bitch. I recommend getting a dental pick. So, upon inspection now, we have everything taken apart, and when I first got, as I said in the last one, when I first bought firearms, I don't know why, but I always just kept them incredibly wet, which is just not what you want to do. I also used grease a lot on Glocks, which, if you read the Glock manual like I didn't, you really don't have to use grease. You shouldn't, honestly. You should just use oil. But okay. Alright, now we're just going to get into it and start wiping up the grime, anything we can kind of just pick up easily. Oh, this is going to be a dirty girl. Alright. This is just kind of collecting all the oil and anything that's really loose. And then after we collect a lot of the loose oil and loose items, then we'll start doing the carbon destroyer and getting all that gunk out. When should you clean your Glock? Just as I said in the last video, I would refer to your manual. I would refer to the manual of arms that comes with the pistol as well as what you're doing. If this is your daily carry, it's going to collect dirt, it's going to collect grime, it's going to collect everything that's on your body at any one time is going to be, collect and put into the gun. So I would clean it relatively frequently, On top of that, there's no carry gun that you shouldn't also be training with, so you should be cleaning it. Not after every use, but think about it. If you're going to go from a situation where it's not a threat to a threat, I would rather have a perfectly ready gun that is cleaned and ready to go. So, that's what it is. But you should abuse your firearms. There's only one way you learn how they work or if they'll work in a bad situation, and that's when you truly take into account risking it all and shooting it and using it like you actually would. So, do that. That's my take, at least. Alright, carbon charge, just a few drops everywhere. Irritate. There we go. Now we're starting to get... Now we're getting somewhere. Yeah. Keep your guns clean, man. There's no excuse. Just do it. I understand, like, well, I don't even understand. If you don't have time to do so, uh, okay, it gets put off for a little bit, but you should, at one point, clean it. You really should, because, yeah, of course, a lot of the guns nowadays are really reliable up to incredible round counts. Doesn't mean that the likelihood of nothing going on, the likelihood of something bad going on stays constant. The likelihood of something bad is fucking random, and you want as many factors on your side. You want a clean gun, you want the right ammo, you want the right everything, okay? You don't want to be rolling into a situation with the right gun, the wrong ammo, that's dirty, damaged, and then boom, you pull the trigger and you have a fucking hand grenade in your hand. Um, Believe it or not, I've seen a Glock explode in someone's hand. They were doing hand loads, and of course, they're doing hand loads, and Bubba's hot load that absolutely detonated their Glock. And shout out to Glock. Um, it wasn't an easy process, but in the long run, they did replace it. They essentially took a blank gun and they serialized that firearm to be the same and destroyed the frame, which was really cool of them. So, shout out to Glock for that. There's a few companies like that I really do admire for being just honest and extremely helpful when it comes to any damage or something wrong with their products. And Glock is, even though to some I understand, like, oh well, their standards aren't as good. Yeah, it's not. You're not getting a lifetime warranty. But if something goes wrong and it's not 100% your fault and you didn't intend to do that, if you work with them, they'll help you. And especially if you lose and break your Glock to the point where you're gonna have to buy a new one anyways, just contact them, see what's happening, okay? This guy, fully ready and prepared to just buy a new one. But he reached out to him, and I think they fixed it for like $200, and it's a brand new frame, everything. So, I mean, just make the right choices. This, to me, right now is I got a lot of the loose stuff. Everything else kind of caked on there, and I'm okay with the stuff in there because this is still really loose. So that's fine with me. Slide's done. Set this aside. How do you clean these parts? Just a quick wipe. Wipe with some CLP. How do you do that? I'll show you. I'll take a microfiber cloth and I will one straight line, and I will take the other side and I'll wipe it down with this on whatever grossness was there, and then I'll take that with the line and I'll just twist it around it. I know it's getting a thin coat of oil, and there we go. And then I'll set it on our clean mat. I understand there's things on the clean mat that aren't clean, but they're on the clean mat for other reasons. Now, that oil is not just one use. You're definitely going to be able to get multiple uses of just getting it onto a part and onto a piece. Cool. A lot of this, though, it's clean relatively, so there's not too much that you really need to clean when it comes to this stuff. It's more of a play it by ear type of situation, and I'm just being anal at this point about trying to get it really clean. See, this one was a little bit dirty, but this is where it's sitting. It's gonna catch a lot of carbon, so it's not a problem. Then we take it to the oiled side and we wipe it. Leave. Alright, cool. Same with this. Crap, I just dislodged that spring. The cups will stay right there. And if you're wondering, that is the waterproof cups. That's the ones that allow you to shoot the Glock underwater. I'm not shooting the gun underwater. What those actually use those for is with how little they actually contact the walls inside the slide, it lightens up the trigger and just makes it not trigger, but the actual firing pin. It's so not noticeable, but you notice it. So I don't know. I tried to test myself and I took it out of the gun and I shot a few hundred rounds. And I put it in the gun and I shot a few hundred rounds. And I noticed a difference. And maybe it was just kind of like psychosomatic, but I definitely did notice. If you were going to full disassembly and take down, you're going to hold this on this side like this. You're going to take your disassembly tool and you're going to push down right there. You might need a thinner tool. Yeah, that's really it. There's also a spring in here. So if you're ever doing the spring upgrade to this trigger, you're going to take this out. You're going to go in there and you're going to gently push it out of its situation by pushing this in, up, and then allowing it to come out. And then you're going to do that. Another modifications you can do, and for the record, do not do this unless you know what you're doing. And if you are doing this, be ready to fuck it up. But you can take a decent amount of material off of this and start polishing it to where it literally just gently touches it. I'm going to remind you that you can really fuck some shit up because it's a friction fit. So if you start cutting too much away, you will make a incredibly, light trigger, but it also smooths it up. It's a whole thing. But be careful, okay? It's not worth it. Also, bending this is going to be a lot of, like, if you ever put a new one of these in and you feel it's really hard to rack back, that's this thing pushing out. Alright. There's a lot of the pieces cleaned up. I like how simple the Glock is. It's nice. It makes my brain feel nice. And all I'm doing now is really just kind of wiping off anything that was too oiled. Alright. The pins should not be oiled. You can oil them, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know if they actually should or not verbatim from a manual standpoint, but personally, I don't oil them. Alright. Moving into the barrel. Let me see if I can find that camera. Pretty good. Outstanding, if anything. And then let's take this. Push all the way through. Yeah, that's pretty clean. I don't know if that's catching it. Alright, it's not catching it. But there's a little bit of dirt, but not too much. What I'm doing with this is really just breaking it up and making it loose. I don't know if we can catch now. It's a little dirty. We'll do a little bit of carbon destroyer on the side. Then we'll take this, ram it down. Let's actually go through there. There we go. Alright. For me, we'll do one more with nothing. Yeah. Nothing. Good. Good enough. Perfect. And then a quick wipe over everything. Get rid of the old grossness that was on there. Anything that caked up. Like areas right here where we have a step. You might want to just wipe off and clean. You never know what gets accumulated up there. And, Granted, the tolerances on a Glock have, yeah, I don't know if it would be too much of an issue. However, nothing wrong with being 110%. All right, little carbon destroyer on the back face of the breech, a little bit on the ramp. Some quick modifications you can do that don't cost money but do cost time is you can polish the ramp just as you would polish a 1911 ramp. Are you going to notice anything? No. If you're having feeding issues, is that going to change anything? No. So, you can. If you want to just put work into it. Cool. A little bit more around there in the breech. Take the clean one and just kind of. Alright. For now, that's clean. Springs, wipe. If it's bad, then yeah, do something about it. But if it still moves, and don't do anything, man. There's just too much you can mess up. If this still goes, you're good. Alright, now go in here. Now we have the slide where the dirt is. For those of you who carry Glocks all the time, like officers, anything like that, I do think you should heed my warning when I say that you need to clean it. Especially you officers who aren't that gun savvy, you really should fucking clean your guns. I don't know how that works for police officers, I'll be honest. I don't know if they have an actual armor. If they do, then yeah, make sure your armor is cleaning your shit. But if they're taking it home at night, then you need to fucking clean it. And not just after you shoot. You should clean it extremely regularly. You know, just while you're carrying it, it gets dirty. Especially if you live in like muddier areas or sandy areas. Shout out Southwest of the United States. I miss you. Your superiority echoes through me. I'll stand by it too. Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, those are A-tier states, man. Now, Arizona is definitely getting worse, and that's 100% just because California people are moving in, and Arizona's mostly just been independent, so it's always been a swing state. But it's just hasn't been this bad in a long time, and it's starting to get really bad, and it just hurts to see my home state suffering so much. Alright. You can also use a pick to get into this rail and just kind of go through it. That's not a bad idea. I'd also like to just bunch up the edge and pull down, and that gets it pretty good. See how good that is? It gets right in there and just goes. And that's all that matters. Make sure you're just cleaning it out. The more you clean the weapon, the more you clean and maintain your firearm, the more it'll take care of you. And also, it gets happy. Guns deserve to be happy. They have a lot on their plate right now. But yeah, always just clean. Right in there, I'm cleaning the breech face. Just making sure it's all clean. All good. Alright. Make sure you're drying it out. Not drying it, but grabbing all the loose stuff. Loose oil, anything like that. Make sure you're getting down this track. I don't know if I can. Oh, you can. It fits. Jesus. There we go. Perfect. Cleaned. Alright. Did I forget anything? You look over there. If you have your own process, then you look through your own process. Let's talk about something that we don't actually do often, and we should. Cleaning mags. I'm not going to clean this because I literally just got it. You can tell there's just nothing, no damage or anything to it. But when should you clean your mags? Second you're getting any kind of problem with it, my rule of thumb is if you can't depress, like using an actual pick or a pry, if you can push it down and it doesn't grind up or feel gummy, it's fine. You know, you got probably, you got time. Second you get any of that grime or gunk where you're actually pushing it, you can feel it touching the walls and getting bound up, take it apart and clean it, wipe it down. Believe it or not, these will get dirty. A lot slower than the firearm, but they will. Alright, now as we reassemble, we're going to take our beautiful oil. And we're also going to put on gloves, because we already cleaned it, and there's no sense in making a clean thing dirty. Alright, now with everything cleaned and we look like we just did a murder scene, I'm going to start assembling. So what can we do? Well, for the slide, we'll start with the slide because it's easier and quicker. We got to work backwards, okay? Like I said, we may... Alright, cool, it's not falling out. This will go in one way and one way only. And that's not that way. Let me see if I can get this spring stuck on there. If you ever fuck up and get the spring out, it just becomes chaos trying to get it back on there. Alright, so I don't know how well it can be seen, but there is an indexed area and it... Oh, damn it, I did it again. That spring sucks, man. I fucking hate this spring. Getting it to stick is always such a bitch. Did I just keep doing that wrong? Why the hell is it doing this? I am doing it wrong, that's why. So if you do it right, it's actually not a problem. But when you just continuously do it wrong, like a fucking idiot. I swear I'm not doing it wrong. Fuck. Ah. Alright, now place this in there. Alright, and it's not falling out. It's holding in. Good. And now we take this up. And remember, plastic to plastic, metal to metal with this. So, the plastic is running away from me like a coward. The plastic goes to the plastic end cap. The metal goes to the metal forward. The chamber indicator. Then we're going to take this, our cups, and here's a good trick for you. Alright? So, this is going in here. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it's just a little bit wet. That is more than good enough. So, take it to the side, turn this, see how it would fall in like that, take it to the top, turn it to the side, and now right here, you're going to push this down, and you push all the way down. Now you take your clips. This is always a fun part, because if you launch them, you're sending them into the fucking stratosphere. And push those in. Now with the cups in place, take this out and drop it in the other way. I want it to be a little bit wetter. And what do I mean by a little bit wetter? I mean, look, boom. Use that, use your finger, wipe the whole thing. A little bit. Nothing but just assistance in moving. Getting in there. Cool, it's in there. It's free, not bound up. Same thing here. Stick this in there. Make sure this is working. It's working. So now we're going to take our butt plate, start it, and now we get back to our pry tool. And we're going to push down this part first. So push and then push. And it's on. And now we check in there. That should move. Cool. Cool. Alright. I shook to hear if anything was loose. The slide is not completed. Now we're going to insert the barrel. Which, as you see where it touches and where it moves, those are some areas you can add a little bit of oil. And how much oil, you ask? Put a dab on your finger. Around in a circle, all the way down to the back, right there on that lip. Good enough. The Glock does not need a lot of oil. Drops, not whole things. And then if you want, I like to paint these rails with my finger again. Drop a little bit on your finger. Paint the rails until reflective. Top slide done. Now we move on to the slide. Set the slide to the side. Let's assemble our trigger. There's only one way it goes in, and I don't remember. No, I'm just kidding. This points forward. It's a backward 7, never a 7. Then we stick this in here. And then we just completely forget how to do this. Alright, cool. There we go. Yep, that's right. Okay, cool. Is it? The fuck am I doing wrong here? Alright, yeah, no, that's right. Just super loose. Like, it'll get tighter once I insert it. And as this was the last thing we removed, we're going to insert it. Cool. Just make sure that's lined up. Oop. Then you just want to throw your actual... Oh no, my face. You want to throw your slide stop on the ground. And well, if you threw it on the ground, you might want to inspect it, see if it needs any re-wiping or cleaning. I'm just going to do it just in case. Okay. And now we stick this in. Drop it in like that. Till everything's all good. This goes forward like this. Alright, cool. I know I said you don't oil these. I don't really know. But I'll put a little dab on there. Gentle. Not liberal. And now with that wiped off, anything extra hopefully will get stuck. And we got our 2 pins to put in here and here. I like this multi-tool because I feel comfortable hammering. but you don't really have to hammer it too hard. Cool. It should push right in. It shouldn't be fighting you the whole time. Okay, and we'll take this and begin to line it up and see if we can get it all the way through without immediately getting caught on something. Here's something I love to talk about with putting pins in place. Don't fight gravity, because gravity is your friend. Push it in. Click. Now we're recessed and centered. And then I'll center up the back pins as well. The back pin. Alright, cool. Alright, now time for a function test. So the function test begins with, does this move down? Yes. Good. Does this move up? Yep. Does this move with spring tension? Yep. Can this be pulled forward and reset? Yes. Alright. Now, take your slide and completely fuck that up while looking cool. Get it in. Something's wrong. The fuck did I do wrong here? So, well, you know what? I'm gonna leave that in. So let's look at everything. What the hell did we do wrong here? I think it was just putting it on. That or this is too high. I'll figure it out. Alright. I just did that too quick and fucked that up. I'm gonna leave it in though, so you know that accidents happen, man. In the assembly phase, I completely forgot to do something, so I'm going to do it here at the end after I already said it happened. Remember I said put a little oil on here? This is true. Make sure that's oiled. But then you also want a little bit. I put it like right after the contacts. You can also use this as a applicator. Put it under here and make sure there's oil under there. A little bit, not a lot. You don't need to, you know, the whole thing doesn't need to be coated, but it does help. Drop, 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 drop. Beads on the fronts. I don't know if that's visible, but that dot right there is a bead. And now there's a reset. Pulling trigger works. There's a reset. Pulling trigger works. With the trigger pulled, nothing's moving. With everything engaged, nothing's moving. On the Gen 4s, you can feel the a few things move around when they're actually not engaged under spring tension. That's part of the safety. Drop safety works. It's not actually how that works, but it's my gun. Fuck you. Put the magazine in. Pull a slide. Slide stops. Pull the trigger. Slide stops. Slide releases. If I remove this, it's still functioning. Cool. Alright. Now with our function test, and we're not going to be taking it apart again, I do a little drop of oil. And that little drop is going to be everywhere on that slide. And because this is just going to be stored, it can be stored now. And I comfortably am not going to worry about anything. And that's how you clean your Glock. It's not how to, but that's how I clean my Glocks. if you have questions, comments, or concerns, you can go fuck yourself. No, if you need questions on where to get parts or anything, I'm not going to list the specific ones I have on here, not because I'm gatekeeping, but because genuinely I don't remember where to get them. For the actual waterproof cups, I don't remember where I bought them. I remember seeing them at a gun shop and being like, those are so cool, buying them, putting them in, and then I felt the difference after my uncle was like, you should get some. So there you go. I'm not a Glock armorer, not a gunsmith, but that's just kind of how I do it. All right. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And happy we had this talk where it was just pretty much a how-to.